Today's developments seem to indicate the beginning of the end of hostilities between the Tata Group and between the Mistry family or the Shapoorji Pallonji Group, or also known as the SP Group. Now, here's what happened today. In court, the Tata Group offered to purchase the 18.3% stake that the Mistry family owns in Tata Sons, which is the holding company of the group. It did so because the Mistry family was seeking to pledge that shareholding in order to raise funds to be able to repay much of its debt. The Tata Group did not want those shares pledged. As Tata Sons is a private company, it has several articles or restrictions on the entry of new shareholders, as well as pledging of shares. So they sought to block that pledging of shares in court. The Mistry family claimed in court that the blocking of the pledging of shares would stop them from being able to repay their debts and would jeopardize the financial future of the group, as a result of which the Tata Group offered to repurchase the stake that the Mistry family owns. Later in the evening, the Mistry family or the SP Group put out a statement saying maybe it is time to separate from the Tata Group. Now, as you would recall, between 2016 and today, there have been many legal battles between the two sides after Cyrus Mistry was ousted as chairman of Tata Sons in what many describe as a boardroom coup. Referring to those 4 years, the Mistry family or the SP Group has said in a statement today that the current situation has forced the Mistry family to sit back and reflect on the past, present, and possible future for all stakeholders. It is said the past oppressive actions and the latest vindictive move by Tata Sons that impact the livelihoods of the wider SP Group community leads to the inexplicable conclusion that the mutual coexistence of both groups at Tata Sons would be infeasible. The SP-Tata relationship, spanning over 70 years, was forged on mutual trust, good faith, and friendship. Today, it is with a heavy heart that the Mistry family believes that a separation of interests would best serve all stakeholder groups. So, what does a separation of interests mean? Effectively, the simplest way to interpret that is that the Mistry family is ready to sell its 18.3% stake in Tata Sons back to the Tata Group. What would be the issues involved in a transaction of that nature? Let me list those out to you because these are going to be the news points or the talking points over the several next weeks to come. Firstly, this will be in some ways a court-driven process because both parties have made their intent clear in the Supreme Court itself. The court's interference in the modalities of the transaction may not be much, but the court's blessing would be sought before both sides withdraw the cases in the Supreme Court at this point. The other most important step in this process would be arriving at an acceptable valuation. There are some estimates out there of what the value of Tata Sons is. These are estimates, and they put the value of Tata Sons, all of its listed company holdings, its ownership of unlisted company, and any other property at approximately 10 lakh crore rupees. If that is the case, then the value of the Mistry family shareholding is somewhere in the region of 1.75 to 2 lakh crore rupees. That is the potential size of this transaction. Both sides, of course, have to agree to a valuation, appoint valuers to be able to do that, and then arrive at a transaction structure. So point number 2 would be arriving at a valuation that both sides agree to. Point number 3 would be a transaction structure. Like I just pointed out to you, there are large numbers involved here. How is Tata Sons going to raise that money to be able to buy the stake from the Mistry family? Will it involve any third parties, such as private equity funds or sovereign funds of any sort? Will it involve them as equity stakeholders in Tata Sons, or will it involve them simply as financiers? We do know a couple of things, that Tata Trusts cannot buy that shareholding from the Mistry family because by law, trusts are not allowed to buy equity shares. The subsidiary companies of the Tata Group, the listed ones, and the ones that have money, which at this point in time are very few, mostly being TCS, can also not buy shares of their holding company, which is Tata Sons. So those two routes seem to be ruled out to a large extent. And that leaves Tata Sons with the ability to raise funds either externally or by pledging some of its shareholding in a company like, say, TCS. Again, I'm only discussing possibilities, but these could be some of the financing possibilities that Tata Sons might look at to be able to raise this money. Once that is clear, that which is step number 3, the fourth process would be actually the closing of this transaction and the actual separation of the two parties, bringing to an end an almost 70-year history. None of this is going to happen over the next few hours or days or weeks. It is likely to be a time-consuming process, and we'll be right here on BloombergQuint reporting it as it unfolds.